waking up, grabbing your morning coffee, and just casually checking your company's revenue dashboard.
Sounds like a normal morning so far.
Right, but then you realize your brand new, highly touted AI pricing agent just spent the last 6 hours aggressively discounting your flagship product by like 90%.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a nightmare scenario.
And the crazy part is, it didn't do this because of some brilliant market strategy. It did it because it hallucinated a competitor's promotion, panicked, and basically decided to liquidate your entire inventory.
Which is exactly what happens when an incredibly powerful tool operates with zero guardrails.
Exactly. And welcome to this custom-tailored deep dive, designed just for you. Today we're tackling something that usually causes a pretty visceral reaction when people hear it: governance.
Yeah, you say the word governance, and people immediately picture, endless committee meetings and thick binders of compliance rules.
Right, it's like this mountain of bureaucratic red tape that's just designed to slow your company down.
It feels totally anti-Silicon Valley. I mean, it feels like hitting the brakes just when the technology finally lets you floor the accelerator.
But our mission today is to completely flip that script. We are diving into a really comprehensive guide from July 2026 titled AI Governance Framework for Responsible AI Implementation.
By J.D. Parashar, yeah. It's a great read.
It is.
Yeah.
And the core argument here is that AI governance isn't actually about slowing down innovation at all. It's the exact mechanism that makes artificial intelligence actually work in the real world.
Yeah, it's about creating the confidence to innovate responsibly rather than just blindly.
The goal today is to extract the exact framework you need to keep AI from going completely off the rails. Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start by dismantling the single biggest misconception out there right now.
Which is a massive one, by the way.
Yeah, this idea that simply acquiring the technology is the finish line.
It's a huge misconception and, frankly, a really expensive one. I mean, what we see highlighted over and over in the source material is that organizations hyper-focus on the selection phase.
Right, the shopping phase.
Exactly. They spend months evaluating platforms, analyzing context windows, comparing neural networks, and, looking at the raw technical capabilities of different foundation models.
But then they just stop there.
Right. They completely fail to define how they are actually going to manage those tools in their everyday operations once they hit the on switch. They think the deployment itself is the strategy.
It's like this illusion that the tool is a magic wand. You just wave a large language model over your enterprise and suddenly everything is optimized and frictionless.
If only it were that easy.
Right. But the risks of skipping that operational layer are literally existential. I mean, we aren't just talking about a minor software glitch here.
No, absolutely not. Because if you don't define how AI is used across departments, you get shadow IT popping up everywhere.
Oh, for sure. You get marketing using one set of prompts, finance hooking up a rogue API, and then poor quality outputs just infect the entire company.
Because the data feeding the AI hasn't been audited at all. You expose yourself to severe security and privacy vulnerabilities.
And ultimately, you completely erode the trust of your own employees and your customers.
Precisely. Because without that management structure, you are essentially operating your business on blind faith in a black box.
Which is terrifying. So how do we shift that mindset?
Well, the fundamental shift that Parashar argues for is moving away from the question, can we build this AI solution? I mean, we already know the answer to that is almost always yes.
Right. The computing power is there.
Yeah.
The APIs are cheap.
Exactly. So the governance framework forces leaders to pause and ask a much harder, much more vital question, which is, should we build it?
The shift from can we to should we, I love that. That fundamentally changes who needs to be in the room for these discussions.
It absolutely does. Should we elevates this from like a standard IT project to a boardroom strategy. It means asking, is this specific deployment actually aligned with our strategic goals? Can we accurately explain the logic behind the decisions this AI is making if, say, an auditor or a regulator comes knocking?
And perhaps most importantly, who is sitting in the chair taking accountability if this automated system makes a critical error?
That's the million-dollar question.
Let me frame it this way. Buying these incredibly expensive, powerful AI models without a governance framework in place, it is exactly like handing a teenager the keys to a ridiculously fast sports car without ever teaching them the rules of the road.
That is a terrifying image, but very accurate.
I mean, sure, the car has a ton of horsepower, it can go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. But that speed is highly dangerous if you don't have brakes, you don't have a steering wheel, and you don't even have a map of where you're going.
What's fascinating here is how that analogy highlights the true purpose of governance, which gets misunderstood constantly. People just view governance as a checkbox exercise to keep the legal team happy.
Just filing paperwork.
Right. But Parashar frames it as a core leadership capability. It is the mechanism that protects the integrity of your AI-driven decisions.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Think about it like financial governance. A company wouldn't survive a month without strict financial controls, ledgers, and audits protecting its financial health, right?
Of course not. That would be chaos.
So why would you treat an automated intelligence, something that might be making thousands of micro decisions a second for your business, any differently? Governance is basically the architecture of your operational health.
So if governance is the steering wheel and the map, from our sports car analogy, we first need to figure out exactly where the car is going and what kind of road it's on.
Exactly.
Parashar builds his framework on 7 interconnected pillars, but rather than just, listing them off like a textbook, let's trace the logic of how a successful AI deployment actually happens in real life.
That's a better way to look at it. It has to start with strategy and process. Every single AI initiative needs to support a clearly defined business objective.
And this sounds incredibly obvious, but you would be shocked at how often it's violated.
Oh, it happens all the time. Before a line of code is written or an ATI is integrated, leaders have to articulate exactly what business problem they are trying to solve.
Like, how will success even be measured? What is the baseline we're trying to improve?
Right. AI should never be a solution looking for a problem. If an organization is implementing AI just so they can appease shareholders by saying, hey, we're an AI-first company, the implementation is already doomed.
It has to create measurable value beyond just the novelty of automation.
Precisely. Which naturally brings us to the actual processes the AI is supposed to be automating. Before you add an intelligent agent to the mix, Parashar insists that an organization needs to deeply understand its current workflows.
Like, where are the bottlenecks? Where's the waste? How are human decisions currently being routed?
Yes, because you cannot automate what you do not understand. You have to map the workflow step by step.
Wait, I'm stuck on this. I need pushback here for a second.
Sure, go for it.
The whole sales pitch of modern AI is that it's smart enough to untangle our operational messes. If my supply chain is an absolute disaster, like a spaghetti bowl of unstructured emails, conflicting spreadsheets, and manual approvals, why can't I just unleash an advanced AI to find the efficiencies I'm missing?
It's a very common thought.
Right. Why do I have to do all the grueling work of fixing the process manually before the AI gets involved?
It is a very tempting thought, the idea of AI as this organizational savior.
Yeah.
But it is a massive trap.
Really?
Parashar has a strict rule regarding this AI should improve well-designed processes. It cannot compensate for fundamentally broken ones.
Okay, unpack that for me.
Think about the mechanics of how machine learning actually works. It identifies patterns and it accelerates execution. If you take a chaotic, dysfunctional workflow where approvals are totally subjective and data is siloed.
And you automate that with AI.
Exactly. You haven't fixed the dysfunction. You have just guaranteed that you will generate errors at lightning speed. The AI will learn your chaotic patterns and replicate them with terrifying efficiency.
Oh, I see. So if our current supply chain process frequently mislabels inventory because of, weird human workarounds, the AI is just going to learn to mislabel inventory 1,000 times faster.
Exactly. Strong governance begins with strong, standardized processes. You have to clean your house and establish a reliable baseline of operations before you invite the autonomous agent in to help run it.
Because otherwise you wouldn't even know if the AI is helping.
Right. You won't know if it's helping or hurting because you have no clean baseline to compare it against.
Okay, so the strategy is set, and we've ironed out our broken processes so the operational road is actually smooth. The next massive point of failure is the fuel you're pumping into this newly optimized engine.
Which is data. Parashar talks extensively about data governance. AI systems are entirely dependent on trustworthy data.
There's no getting around the data layer. An organization has to establish rigorous protocols for data quality.
And this isn't just about making sure the data is technically accurate. It's about architecture, like who explicitly owns the data.
What are the access controls?
Exactly. How is customer privacy being maintained as data moves from a raw storage bucket into a large language model?
And how are different versions of data sets being managed so that an AI isn't training on outdated pricing models from 3 years ago?
Reliable AI outputs simply do not exist without a heavily governed pipeline of reliable information.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. We have the clean data, the engine has fuel, but the framework demands something that a lot of tech purists actively try to avoid.
Human oversight.
Yes. I tend to think of AI right now like a highly intelligent, incredibly eager, but totally inexperienced intern.
That's a great way to picture it.
You would never take a brand new intern, give them unrestricted administrative access to your company's core database, and just blindly execute their decisions without any review.
Right, you wouldn't let them sign million-dollar contracts on day one.
Exactly. You need escalation procedures.
And yet, companies routinely hook up AI agents to their external-facing channels without those safeguards. It's wild. Parashar emphasizes that despite the rapid, almost unbelievable advances in AI capabilities, human judgment remains structurally essential.
So companies have to explicitly design approval authorities into the software. Like, when does the AI need permission to act? What are the actual thresholds?
Precisely.
So what does that look like practically? How do you build an approval authority for a machine that thinks faster than we do?
Usually through confidence scores and routing mechanisms. So if an AI is reviewing insurance claims, for instance, you govern it by saying any claim where the AI's confidence score in its own decision is below 95%, it cannot auto-approve or auto-deno.
It has to route that claim to a human queue.
Exactly.
Wow.
You also have to design escalation procedures for when the AI encounters a scenario totally outside its training parameters. There must be a literal kill switch or override mechanism.
Oh, so it doesn't just guess and make a mess.
Right. AI is meant to augment human decision makers. It is not meant to replace accountability. If an automated system hallucinated a legal precedent or miscalculates a risk that costs the company millions, a human being must ultimately be sitting in the chair responsible for that outcome.
You cannot outsource your fiduciary duty to a neural network.
You cannot outsource accountability, period.
I want to underline that for you listening, because that really is the beating heart of this entire governance philosophy. Okay, so the system is running, the data is clean, and we have humans in the loop monitoring the confidence scores.
Right.
But as time goes on, these models drift, right? They learn new things, they interact with the public. How do we ensure the AI doesn't develop blind spots or start acting in ways that expose the company to massive liability?
That is where the ongoing risk management pillars come into play. Every time you implement a new automated agent, you are introducing entirely new categories of risk into the enterprise.
For sure.
Governance demands that you evaluate the system for bias, fairness, security, vulnerabilities, and explainability early and often. I mean, we've all seen the case studies where an automated recruiting tool turns out to be systematically filtering out highly qualified candidates based on flawed historical data.
Or an internal chatbot is inadvertently granted access to HR files and just starts leaking salary information to employees.
Exactly.
And from a purely operational standpoint, managing those security and liability risks early is vastly cheaper than trying to put out the fire of a massive public relations disaster post-launch.
Correct. It is basic risk mitigation, but governance isn't just about playing defense and avoiding lawsuits. It is also about rigorous performance measurement. We have to start measuring the success of AI purely by technical metrics.
Technical metrics like uptime or API latency.
Exactly. Technical success is just the IT department sending out a memo saying the integration is complete, the AI is ingesting data, and the server hasn't crashed.
Which is nice, but...
Right. It's a necessary baseline, but it doesn't mean a thing to the core business. Governance forces the conversation toward commercial success. Is this specific AI implementation actually reducing our cycle times?
Are we measurably saving operational costs?
Have we seen a statistical improvement in customer satisfaction scores since deploying the automated support tier? Is the quality and speed of our decision-making genuinely better than it was 6 months ago?
So what does this all mean for the day-to-day reality of running a company? Because when I look at the need for continuous monitoring, risk assessment, and performance measurement, I have to wonder about the internal friction.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It does. Is there a tangible business upside to treating governance as a continuous living system rather than just a launch checklist?
This raises an important question, and it addresses the core friction between moving fast and moving safely. The upside of continuous governance is enormous because it focuses on sustained outcomes rather than just the initial activity of launching a tool. Governance isn't a static PDF document that sits on an intranet portal gathering dust. It is a living management system. You are constantly reviewing the AI's outputs, gathering active feedback from the employees who have to use it, and adjusting your models to comply with new regulatory updates.
So it's constantly adapting.
By managing those risks relentlessly and constantly measuring the return on investment, you transform AI from being a neat experimental tech project into a sustainable business capability. It becomes an operational muscle that actually compounds in strength over time.
It stops being a science fair project and becomes part of the company's DNA. But let's ground this in reality for a second. Even with these clear pillars, aligning the strategy, cleaning the processes, governing the data, keeping humans in the loop, managing risks, measuring commercial outcomes, and continuously improving, we know that enterprise AI projects still have a high failure rate.
Oh, absolutely they do.
Parashar outlines some very specific pitfalls in the source materials, and we need to examine these traps so you can spot them before you fall in.
The failure modes are remarkably consistent, whether you are in healthcare, finance, or logistics. The most common trap, which we established at the beginning, is purchasing the AI tools before defining the governance architecture.
Putting the cart miles before the horse.
Literally. Another massive pitfall is the diffusion of responsibility. If an entire cross-functional committee is supposedly responsible for the AI's behavior, it means absolutely no one is responsible when things go wrong.
Because everyone just points at the other department?
Yeah.
IT points at legal points at operations.
Precisely. You also see companies treating governance as a one-time deployment hurdle rather than an ongoing operational discipline. But perhaps the most frustrating and common pitfall of all is completely overlooking employee training and organizational change management.
Oh, the human element.
Right. You can build the safest, most rigorously governed AI system in the world with perfect data and perfect processes. But if your frontline employees don't know how to prompt it correctly, don't trust its outputs, or actively resist using it because they fear for their jobs, the entire investment will fail.
To counter all of this, Parashar introduces a signature concept in his framework that ties everything together. He calls it agentic process excellence.
It's a great term.
Now, that sounds incredibly academic, but the mechanics of it are fascinating. It's the discipline of actively combining intelligent systems, the AI agents, with rigorous operational improvement models that manufacturing and enterprise businesses have used for decades. Things like Lean, Six Sigma, and systems thinking.
It is a brilliant synthesis of two worlds that often don't speak to each other. He's arguing that AI doesn't replace the need for operational discipline, it actually demands significantly more of it.
How so?
Well, Lean methodology is all about the relentless elimination of waste. Six Sigma is about the relentless reduction of variance. If you are going to give automated agents the power to execute core business processes, which is exactly what agentic means, those baseline processes better be excellent, with minimal waste and minimal variance.
So the AI becomes a tool to execute lean principles at scale. Let me make sure I'm mapping this correctly. You're saying that instead of just throwing AI at a problem, you use Six Sigma to standardize a process perfectly, and then you use the AI agent to continuously monitor that process for any variance, adjusting in real time.
Exactly. The AI enforces the operational excellence you've already designed. And to help leaders actually achieve this, Parashar provides a highly practical diagnostic checklist to run through before scaling any AI initiative.
Which is super helpful.
You must look at your operation and ask, do we have a crystal clear business objective for this agent? Are the human responsibilities and escalation paths explicitly assigned?
Are our commercial success metrics defined?
Is the data feeding this agent actively governed for quality and access? If you're answering no to any of those questions, you need to freeze your AI rollout and build your governance architecture first.
What I love about synthesizing all this source material is how deeply empowering the message is. I mean, it is so incredibly easy to read the tech news right now and feel overwhelmed.
Oh, for sure. It's intimidating.
It often feels like AI is this mysterious, uncontrollable force of nature that is just going to wash over the business world and do whatever it wants. But realizing that AI failures are almost never because the underlying neural network lacked technical capability, they happened because the operational governance was simply never designed that puts all the control back in our hands.
We aren't helpless victims of the technology. We are the architects of how it is deployed.
Exactly.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Parashar makes a profound observation about the future of business. The organizations that are going to absolutely dominate their industries over the next decade won't necessarily be the ones with the flashiest, most cutting-edge AI models.
Because the tech moves too fast.
Right. Technology commoditizes too fast. What is cutting edge today is standard open source in 6 months. The true winners will be the organizations with the most disciplined, rigorous approach to managing whatever technology exists. The specific AI models will change, but governance principles endure.
Building resilient systems around the technology is what creates true, lasting AI maturity.
It really is.
It is the ultimate shortcut to long-term success. It marries the absolute bleeding edge of machine intelligence with the foundational bedrock of operational discipline. You literally cannot have one without the other and expect to survive, let alone win.
You are building a foundation that can support the immense weight of the future, regardless of how fast the algorithms themselves evolve.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a new angle to ponder, something that builds on the mechanics we've explored today. We've established that AI fundamentally requires well-designed processes, explicitly clear human accountability, and perfectly organized data in order to function safely.
Right. It requires absolute operational clarity.
So, if an organization tries to implement AI and the project fails spectacularly, like if the bot goes rogue or the data is corrupted or the employees rebel, what does that failure actually reveal about the company itself?
That's a deep question.
Does the attempt to implement AI force an organization to finally confront its own underlying cultural and operational dysfunctions that exist long before the AI ever arrived? Is a failed AI deployment actually just a massive, expensive mirror showing a company its own internal chaos? Think about that. Thank you so much for joining us on this custom deep dive. Keep asking those hard questions about the technology shaping your world. And remember, before you hand over the keys to the sports car, make sure you know exactly where the brakes are.